Ragz and The Bartender, brought to you by Swan Lake Resort, 95.7 The Fan.
Good morning out there. It is 7:04, 52 degrees on Wednesday, November 6th. Coming up in a couple of minutes, we'll talk to Coach Ben Downey from St. Joe. Also later on, you looking for something to do this weekend that involves batting cages of all things?
Yes.
Nice little event locally here in Mishawaka. We'll break down RBI Unlimited. I never even knew it existed.
That's in Mishawaka, and we'll give you where you could be going to take some swings in the batting cages and such this weekend.
We get some college football as Notre Dame and Pitt battle, but that's really hardly the game anybody's talking about because we've got two games on Thursday night. Oregon, Stanford, Oklahoma, and of course, and Baylor.
Yeah.
See how many points they throw up on
Thursday.
On Oklahoma.
How did ESPN miss the boat on that
totally
one?
blew it.
Usually they're way big on stuff like that. They own the market on Thursday night games because usually it's like Louisville against Western Kentucky.
Now, the game on Saturday is not too bad either. LSU, Alabama. I mean, you're talking about big SEC matchup and number one team in the country. It's not like they got screwed here.
But you're crazy nobody roots for Les Miles. Nobody in their right mind does. Everybody roots for Nick Saban, the soon-to-be next Texas head coach.
The Oregon-Stanford game is on right here at 95.7 The Fan at 8:30. Now, we've taken the license here and flexed out the NFL game.
No, what we've done is we've done our listeners a favor because we know that none of you guys give a hot damn what goes on the Thursday night
There's
NFL
some Viking
game.
fans in the area, aren't
there? And those two fans, they can fund it somewhere else. But we are going to be playing one of the biggest games of the entire college football season.
With major implications for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, too.
Yes.
So, I mean, you want to be a big-time Stanford fan.
Yes.
And that's with the understanding that they will win that last game of the season, or none of this will matter.
That's true. That's true.
Stanford, Notre Dame, last game of the season.
I have a feeling that I wouldn't even go that far away.
It's not the only college game we're going to talk about either. Jim Brandstatter is going to join us in the 8 o'clock hour. He, of course, calls the Michigan games on our sister station and
unfortunately
countrywide. Yeah,
poor guy.
I'll tell you what, he's had it rough these last two out of 3 weeks with the Penn State
now,
and then last week.
The team that you call, if they take a beating, does that necessitate you taking a beating too? Because Michigan took a beating to Michigan State over the weekend.
They did.
Does that mean that he's still trying to heal up?
Well, you know what it's like. It's like that analogy you just made a couple minutes ago about you go visit your long lost cousin you used to play with all the time. All of a sudden, man, you got big. And that's the same thing with State.
And why are you frothing at the mouth?
By the way, Craig, the texting lit up 45364 is where you want to text us. You can tweet with us at Ragz the Fan, at Bartender the Fan, at the Fan Michiana. As we went to break there, LeBron James became the fifth player, 10 points or more in 500 consecutive games.
Okay.
And I asked you who the other four players were. You got Jordan.
Okay.
Texting lit up, everybody getting the right answer, but we don't trust them. They could just go to their Google and just text us the right answer.
Yeah,
but I gave you a clue, and I can attest, Craig did not look at anything.
No.
These guys have the same last name, not related. They are two of the players, and then the other one, well, obviously these you're talking about three of the greatest players of all time.
And I still don't know.
If I said mailman to you.
And I'd say daddy. All right, Karl Malone.
Carl and his long lost brother, Moses.
Moses, huh?
Moses Malone.
Well, again, you are talking about I think Carl ended up as the third leading scorer in NBA history.
Yeah.
And, of course, Moses was one of the most dominating players in the low post ever to play the game.
And the last one did it twice. And I'll give you another hint.
Uh-oh. I'm not getting on hints this morning.
Hey, you tell your old man to run up and down the court with Lambeer all day. My dad says you only tried during the playoffs.
Ooh, you still got me.
You're still. Maybe if I had a quote from Left Behind instead of Airplane.
If you gave me a Left Behind quote, I would have
If I gave you the Left Behind quote that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was in.
I probably would get it, but Kareem, huh?
Yeah, Kareem did it twice, Craig.
If you said Sky Hook, I would have got it right away.
First of all, I mean, to play 500, 500 did it twice.
Yes.
That means twice he did it 500 straight games. That's a long career.
And 400 of those games, he was cursing at Magic Magic Johnson because they did not like each other at one point in time, even though Magic's primary job was to make sure that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar got the ball.
No doubt about it. No doubt
How
about
do you
it.
hate your point guard for majority of the time you guys play together? How do you do that?
Look,
as you're winning championships, you're cursing each other out up and down the court.
He didn't just hate his point guard. He
Yeah, he
hated
was
everybody. He did not like anybody.
Because Kareem is, looking at Kareem now, he's smiling and everything. He wasn't like that when he was a player. People that knew him then and knew him now, like, what happened to the surly Kareem?
Yeah.
He's kind of reinvented himself. I like it, though.
45364, waiting on Coach Ben Downey here in a couple minutes. And we were talking about the Aaron Rodgers situation, Craig, where he makes it sound worse on his radio show than Mike McCarthy, holding out hope that it's only going to be 3 weeks. Aaron Rodgers, he actually admitted, Craig, he first thought he'd be able to play right away.
Well, the first thought is always I'm going to play through whatever I have. If it's sustained some injuries, gotten back on the field a lot of times and the pain goes away and maybe it hurts Monday or Tuesday. In this case, it was considerably more pain than I've felt in a long time and wasn't able to throw the way I wanted to on the sideline.
So we're asking people this morning, and Packer fans out there, who I sound like a Marine there for a second. Who did you want to quarterback your team outside of Seneca Wallace and Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
A lot of Tim Tebow's came across, Craig, including one from a Lions fan who says, I'm a big Lions fan. I think they should give Tim Tebow a call.
That's a joke. Nobody in their right mind wants Tim Tebow as their quarterback. Nobody in their right mind.
It does open up another question here, Craig, as you head towards the second half of the season, and which playoff caliber teams could withstand this type of hit, losing their quarterback, and be able to survive. We can get to that in a couple of minutes here. Which of the potential playoff teams would be able to do it? But joining us on the Pub and Grill fan toll-free hotline right now, remember Pub and Grill, located inside Waterford Estates Lodge on State Road 933 North in South Bend. Joining us on that Pub and Grill hotline is the head coach, St. Joe, Ben Downey. Coach, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Not too bad. First of all, congratulations. You are in the sectional final. How's it feel?
Well, it feels great. Anytime they set up a tournament, and in order to win the first championship, you have to win 3 games. And then, in our sectional in particular, there's so many good teams. You feel good to have a chance to win some hardware.
And, boy, it doesn't get much better than your opponent this coming Friday with New Prairie, who are steamrolling right now.
Yeah, absolutely. They've been steamrolling all season long. Their coach has done a great job. Their players have done a good job buying into what he's selling. And they're definitely playing some very good football.
Of course, St. Joe, New Prairie, part of our coverage this weekend, Craig, as we get ready to do more of these sectional finals at 6 o'clock. Actually, 6:30 pregame for us. 7:30 start for you guys out there. And that's because, New Prairie is in a separate time zone, right, Coach?
I believe that's why. That's one of those areas where the AD has complete control of that, and I just get the information and roll with it.
Now, before we get into the actual X's and O's of your team and all that stuff, a lot of headlines this week in football itself with Richie Incognito and the hazing and the bullying. Craig and I thought it'd be interesting to ask you, as a high school coach now, first off, what type of conversations have you had with your kids this week once this story is broken?
Oh, to be honest, I've been so busy, I haven't really even been able to pay attention to the news too much. So I just saw that kind of like on the ticker on ESPN down at the bottom of the screen. But, the good news is we talk about it at the very beginning of the season, as I imagine nearly every other program does. You just have to sit down with the guys and, talk about what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. And, give them examples. They need to know examples, whether it be pro, college, or high school, and, some of the ramifications from previous cases. So, it's one of those things. I don't think you need to talk about it, just when something major happens, although, that's an excellent time to do it. But you better cover that as soon as the football season starts, or you may find yourself in trouble, especially around like a 2-a-day period.
Well, not only that, but you hear stories like this at other levels, and in the pros, you'd think these are grown men being able to handle things, where you got to deal with 16-year-old kids trying to handle something like this.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And, now everything is just so different with technology and stuff like that. There's a whole, new list of things that you have to be aware of. But we're dealing with high schoolers, and all of us included, for the most part, high schoolers have a lot of knucklehead in them. They make some bonehead decisions at times. It's just a process of maturing through that particular time period, and so they're gonna, if you're not all over them and paying attention and talking to them, they're gonna make some decisions that they could regret later on. So it's just, one of the many topics that you have to talk to them about, just to make sure they understand what's right and what's wrong.
Coach, you've been downstate before in the past. What makes this team different from some of the teams that you had in recent history that have had?
Each team's a little bit different. Some years that we've gone, it's been an offensive-led team. Sometimes it's a defensive-led team. Sometimes there's a pretty good balance. With this particular team, it's one of the better offenses that I've ever seen. And, knock on wood, but, there's a lot of stuff in our favor offensively. It all starts with natural ability. We have a lot of athletic people on the offensive side of the ball. Not to mention they gained a lot of experience last year. Some of them were thrown into that a little early. And then, on top of that, the offense has been healthy. The staff has done an excellent job. So, when you add all those things up, you end up with a pretty darn special unit. And then, defensively, it's been one of those things where due to injuries and also just, getting to know our particular team and moving people around and figuring out the best practice schedule, it's been a fun unit to coach because it's been such a process of just figuring out what our identity is, and we're starting to really play some good ball defensively right now. And then, special teams have done, for the most part, we've done a good job all year long. So, every class is different, mainly because of the seniors and what you go through during the regular season.
And it's also been the fact that you have one of the best quarterbacks in the area, and Matt Monzere. But you've played a couple games without Matt and done really well as well. But Matt Monzere is definitely one of the difference makers on your ball club.
Yeah, and if you do point out, like, the difference between this team and some of the ones that have gone to state, the teams that have gone to state, at least the teams that went in 2010 and 11, had dual-threat quarterbacks. And so, last year it was kind of an adjustment dealing with this guy that could throw like, no one we've ever seen. Mm-hmm. And he can run, but that's not, his greatest strength is throwing. So we've had to kind of, revamp our approach from previous years. So last year was kind of an adjustment period. But, to make a long story short, I'd say, his skill set makes this team a little bit different than the other teams that we've played. We're
talking with Coach Ben Downey from South Bend St. Joe, and it seems like in the playoffs now, you guys have found that rushing attack as you just pounded on the yards on against Washington and Hobart. You had 365 yards rushing last week, 227 the week before, so a little ground and pound going on as opposed to the passing game, which has worked for you earlier in the season.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of times what you do is, whatever the defense gives you. It's kind of hard, unless you're just one of the bigger teams in your class, you can't always just impose your will however you want. So the beauty of this team is if the team is really good at stopping the run, we like to think that we can pass. And then if the team can stop the pass, we like to think that we can run. And, once you can do one thing, it tends to open up the other throughout the course of the game. So that equals balance.
And you got to credit to you and your AD there and the schedule you guys put together every year. Two of your three losses, you played Penn, although, we won't go there. But you really played Indianapolis Cathedral really well early in the season. We gave you guys a lot of credit for taking that school on and actually playing pretty well.
Yeah, that was a special day.
That was a Saturday game, right? Wasn't that a special Saturday game?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It was a good experience. The travel gets you kind of prepared for, if you do make a playoff run. And the competition was just absolutely unbelievable. It's one of the best offenses I've ever seen. That they had a running attack like Chittard, and then had a wide receiver that's going to Ohio State. So it was really, really interesting. But our offense had a phenomenal day that day. It was a very high-scoring game, back and forth, and we definitely had a chance to the very end of that game.
And we give Jerry Jones a lot of heat for calling for moral victories in the pros. But after that game, you had to tell your kids on the bus ride home how proud you were of them.
Yeah, it was the effort more than anything. If anyone that was at that game just saw the fight in this particular group where, no matter the score, no matter what's happening, they're just ready to step up and keep battling. And, we try to preach to them that that has to happen if they have the St. Joe Arrows on their helmet and they're trying to represent a school that rich in football tradition as St. Joe is. So that's our challenge to them, and they definitely met it.
Coach Downey, finish this sentence for me. That the St. Joe Indians will be playing downstate if what happens the next couple weeks?
Holy cow.
I know.
Holy cow, that's a long way away. We will be playing down at state if we concentrate on the game plan that the coaches put forth, and if we focus on them and work at them one play at a time, one rep at a time, one practice at a time. If we focus on the process and instead of just looking, down the road.
Right.
And we've done a good job of doing that. But to be honest, there's so much improvement that has to go on for that to be possible. You have to beat so many good teams, and the number one thing that people tend to overlook is you better stay healthy if you even want a chance.
And Matt gets all the press, but give us some of the other players that are on this team that's been contributing throughout the season.
Well, we definitely have a great white dog group. Our offensive linemen have done a phenomenal job. And, again, they were experienced last year, but they needed a great off season and an improved mentality, and Coach Badak has helped with that. We have a lot of skilled wide receivers and a couple of running backs. So, Matt gets a lot of the credit because he is the one that gets everything started and makes some of these amazing plays when we throw the ball. But a lot of these other people help make some of the magic happen as well and deserve quite a bit of credit. Defensively, different people are stepping up. So I'm not sure that there's one name that I would throw out there.
There's a team. It's a team. It's a team effort. You can't get it done with just one guy. It takes an entire team to have the successes you guys have had, not just this year, but in years past as well.
Well, yeah, I appreciate that. And, that if you face an offense like this that requires a team defense, one stud on defense doesn't help you much against the option. So, we're proud to say that it's been a good team effort defensively because that's what it's going to take to be able to stop an option attack like New Prairie.
Well, you touched on it there. Of course, St. Joe, a New Prairie, 7:30 kickoff on Friday, 6:30 pregame. New Prairie hasn't lost yet, and you bring up the option. I mean, is that your main concern as you head into Friday night's game?
Defensively, it is. We also have to be concerned about their defense because they haven't given up many points and many yards rushing. So they've got a lot of strengths. Their special teams are solid. You can tell that their coaches focus on it. So they've got all three phases covered. But defensively, definitely, the option is what has to be stopped if we want to be victorious.
Do you tell your team not to watch Notre Dame because they can't defend the option?
That was interesting. I was getting texts from some of the coaches saying, "Oh my gosh, this is scary." Heck, maybe they did a phenomenal job. It's a dangerous scheme if you can get people to buy in and to run it as it's supposed to be run. And Navy was smart enough and creative enough to exploit as many things as they possibly could. And I completely get what's going on defensively. When you ask a guy to run up and get a pitch man, and he's also supposed to be deep, if that guy goes out for a pass, and the guy's moves look identical, he's coming to block you or slipping right by you.
Yeah,
pretty tough task to have someone to be able to do both.
I equate what happened to Notre Dame last week to reading a book 10 times, but then when you had to take a test on the book, you failed miserably.
You didn't retain anything.
You know what? The way I saw last week, everyone was talking about how great it was for Notre Dame to be able to have the two option teams back to back.
Yeah.
I was thinking that Navy was probably just as thrilled to sit there and get this option footage the week before.
Sure, yeah.
And be able to make their adjustments as well. And I never even thought of that until after the game.
Coach Ben Downey from South Bend, St. Joe. Let me ask you something. I know you're going to tell me every win's a big win and all that stuff, but what's the one in your coaching career now at St. Joe? What's the one where when you win the game, after the game, you thank the kids? Because this is the one, and you're personally, I want to win this game every year. What's that one game for you, Coach?
Oh, my goodness.
The one team you're like, guys, thank you so much because I always love beating this team.
Oh, my gosh. You know what? The natural, obvious response would be Marion, but when you coach in a conference long enough, wild stuff happens and new rivalries start to form. And
right.
I'll be honest, it kind of depends on what happens in the off season. You enter a season and it's just like, oh my gosh, we cannot lose to this team this year. And it's not always the same team. It just kind of depends on how everything unfolds and who's saying what and who's doing this and who's
And sometimes
doing that.
what happens is a team that has a player that has 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns transfers to another school. So all of a sudden, then all of a sudden,
interesting you bring that up because you had the rare the feat to play Washington 2 times in 3 weeks. How about a little love for Washington in the playoffs? They actually gave you guys a little bit of a little battle there the second time around.
Oh yeah, I mean, we knew they gained some confidence after competing against Clay the week before, and that's just a coaching nightmare playing someone 2 weeks later.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine that'd be the case at any level. But we got to give them a lot of credit. They took a 270-pounder and put him at fullback.
Goodness.
And he wasn't just some big blob. I mean, this guy could run. He was trucking people, whether it was running with the ball or blocking. And it posed a pretty interesting situation for the defense. And, the game was just really, really bizarre. A lot of wild stuff was going on. But they certainly left everything on the field, tried everything they could. And they did an excellent job improving.
Well, Coach, we love having you on, and good luck this weekend. Obviously, the St. Joe New Prairie, 6:30 pregame right here at 95.7 The Fan. And good luck this week in practice. Now, what do you do on a day like today? I mean, this is an important day of practice, and it's pouring outside.
Yeah, it depends how bad it is. It is football, so you definitely can practice in the rain. But if it's raining all day long and it's freezing, you got to figure out just how productive you can be outside.
Yeah.
So, but it's not like every high school team has these indoor facilities just to move to. So it's a tough call because if you go inside, you're going to be losing out on something as well.
Well, good luck this weekend. We're pulling for you, and hopefully we'll have another interview later on before Indianapolis.
That sounds great, guys.
All right, Coach Ben Downey from South Bend St. Joe playing New Prairie this Friday night. It's Ragz and the Bartender. Come back. Which team could withstand the same Packer injury that are heading to the playoffs, Craig, but be okay? Mm-hmm. Talk about that next. It's Ragz and the Bartender, 95.7 The Fan, and thefanmichiana.com. Ragz and the Bartender, 7:30 on The Fan, 51 degrees. Another update on the way. Plus, what you can do this weekend, if it's raining like this, indoors.
Yes,
and get some sports juices flowing.
Take some swings and visit RBI Unlimited. We'll talk about it in just a little bit.
45364 is where you want to text us. Of course, you can tweet with us at Ragz the Fan, at Bartender the Fan, at the Fan Michiana. Asking you, who do you want to quarterback your team?
Yes. Let's say
Packer fans.
Oh man, because this is the conundrum that they have to face now because they're going to be seeing some games in the near future, very near future, with Seneca Wallace starting quarterback for the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, it's more like I know who I don't want to. Quarterback my team.
He can't look worse, can he?
Well, he's going to get all the reps this week, so he's got to get better, doesn't he?
Doesn't necessarily mean anything. Yeah. It's one of those things that the kid in the bench, even though he's shot a bunch of free throws, does not mean that he's going to be Michael Jordan when he gets on the court for the next game.
No, far from it. All right, Craig. So it brings up an interesting question: is how many of these teams that are in the playoff race, elite? Yeah. They're in the playoff race, could handle losing their quarterback. Mm-hmm. So you go around the league. Let's go to the Cowboys. They're in first place. They're 5-4. Tony Romo is their starting quarterback. If he goes down, Craig, do you know who their backup is?
Yes, Kyle Orton, and I think they do just fine with Kyle Orton.
I agree.
Because they've addressed something that needs to be addressed, your backup quarterback situation.
And it's it doesn't get much better than that one, right? Mm-hmm. How about the Seattle Seahawks, who are 8-1 right now, Craig?
No, who is
Tavares Jackson.
No.
You're not a believer, huh? The Vikings liked him once.
The best thing about Tavares, yes, they loved him so much that they drafted Christian Ponder and then cut him.
They drafted a quarterback worse than him.
That's how much they love Tavares Jackson.
The San Francisco 49ers, Colt McCoy.
We haven't seen enough of Colt on a good team. We've seen him on crappy teams. But we know Cole can throw because of what he did with Texas.
Yeah.
But can he run that offense, which is predicated on him also running the football?
That's not bad, though. You could do worse.
But he does have the great quarterback whisperer as a head coach in Jim Harbaugh, who won't whisper at him. He'll yell at him every time he makes a mistake. It's kind of one of those things where he's the loudest whisperer ever.
That's a good point. Now, I can't believe Sean Hill is still in the league, but yes, he is the backup
Sean Hill still
to
around?
Matthew Stafford.
Wow. Yes, I'll say Sean Hill's won some games for the Lions back in the day.
I'd say they're okay.
Apparently not enough for them to draft Matt Stafford with the number 1 overall pick a few years ago.
Now, what about Josh McCown? Obviously, he's shown that he can do the job. So if this is any extended period of time, I don't feel as bad.
No. And he also is a teacher. He also has that to fall back on. If when he does lose his job, he just goes back to teaching in 6th grade again.
Now, of course, the offense predicated on passing a lot, and one of the best is the Saints. And they have another McCown. They have Luke McCown.
No.
From Louisiana Tech.
No.
No?
Yeah, everything goes through Drew Brees.
Yeah, they're in
You're
trouble.
Asking, yes.
Well, much like the Denver Broncos, everything goes through, well, you might have heard of him, Peyton Manning.
Yes.
What if he goes down, Craig?
Then it goes to Ostenheiser. Is that it? Yeah.
Osweiler.
Yeah, no, that's not good.
It's so bad you can't even pronounce his name.
Yeah.
So we don't, just for our purposes alone of what we do here, we can't afford Manning to get hurt.
Yes.
We won't be able to pronounce the guy's name.
No, we'd just be saying quarterback O.
Now, what about the Kansas City Chiefs, Craig, with Alex Smith, the game manager? It's hard for him to get hurt in a game anyway.
Yes.
Although he did last year. It cost him his job. All he does is win.
Oh, he's learned a lesson. He is not missing any. Here's the guy that, he got demoted because he missed one day at work. So now he'll never miss another day at work.
Well, they got that kid out of Mizzou a couple years ago, Chase Daniel, as their backup.
Chase Daniel's only 5'6".
Yeah, they're in trouble, too, if they lose.
He's short.
I never would thought I would say that you're in trouble if you lose Alex Smith.
Yeah.
But you are.
You are. Because Chase Daniel, again, when he was at Missouri, and you know how much I love Missouri. Chase Daniel is another reason why I hate Missouri. They played Northwestern in a bowl game, and as I talk about the greatest defensive lineman ever to play for the Bears, he still plays for them now. He blew out his knee and cost him being a 1st or 2nd round pick because he was chasing down Chase Daniels in that bowl game.
If you look at the Bengals, Craig, who are 6-3, they lose Dalton, they get Josh Johnson.
Dalton from Roadhouse?
No, Andy Dalton.
Oh,
Josh Johnson. That would be a huge hit as well.
Yeah, that'd be bad. He's got potential, though. Josh Johnson, if we remember a few years ago, was competing for the starting job at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They wish they had him.
Now, the Colts wouldn't be that bad off because they've got one of the best veteran quarterbacks still alive, and that's Matt Hasselbeck.
Yeah, Matt Hasselbeck is still lingering around. So I think he'd step in and still keep the chains moving at least.
And you mentioned it early on about the New England. We just don't know enough about Mallett. They're high on him. They love him.
We do know this. It was one of the dumbest things that Rich Rodriguez has ever done in his entire coaching profession, telling him day one as he took over at Michigan that you need to transfer, kid, because you don't have a starting spot here because we're going to grab a quarterback that can't throw at all. And we're going to let you go. You go to whatever school you want to. And all he did was going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC for the next 3 years.
All right, so let's rank them then, Craig. I think the Cowboys with Orton might be in best shape.
Yeah.
The Lions with Sean Hill, I would.
Sean Hill,
yeah,
at
that's
least,
not too bad.
Again, keep the chains moving because when in doubt, throw to the best wide receiver in the business.
And Colt McCoy's not bad for the Niners. I think they'd be okay there. Those three would be okay.
They make the adjustments.
Yeah, and then
of
course, Andrew Luck going down with Hasselbeck. I think you're in good shape there.
Yeah.
Now, in worse shape would be the Broncos.
Wait a minute, they're already down to like their 4th-string quarterback in the Browns. So we can't even count them. But the Broncos, you're right.
Broncos,
As we've seen in recent history, nobody runs Peyton Manning's offense like Peyton Manning. We just saw this a few years ago play out with the Colts. You don't want that to happen.
And obviously the Seahawks would be in really bad shape too.
Yes.
But I think the worst team that would be in worse shape, it's happened to, and that's the Green Bay Packers.
Well,
the only thing they got going for them is Eddie Lacy and Starks running the ball really well. Maybe they get a conservative ground game going here, and they can survive the Vikings, Giants.
This is what happens when you play musical quarterbacks in training camp. And you decide that you don't want any of the guys that you brought in, and now you're stuck with Seneca Wallace as your starting quarterback. Just because you read the book doesn't necessarily mean that you can you can play it out in a play. It doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't. And they're going to find out the hard way, too, with Seneca Wallace. Good luck with that. We do wish you the best of luck.
Yes.
But not really.
Next year, there's this thing called the draft. And
there's a few coming out that you might want to take a look into.
Yeah, exactly.
It's Ragz and The Bartender, 7:38. Time to do an update. We come back, give you an alternative indoor activity this coming weekend, Krager, as you want to go to hit some batting cages. And there's one in town I didn't even know existed, and I am so glad it does, because there's nothing better than letting some stress out, and that's going to a batting cage. Let me tell you that right now. 52 degrees. It is Wednesday, and it is pouring in a lot of our area.
Yep.
So be careful on the roadways while you're getting to work this morning. 7:39 on Ragz and The Bartender, 95.7 The Fan and thefanmichiana.com. Ragz and The Bartender, 7:43 on The Fan. It is 52 degrees. Hope you're having a great morning, even though it's a wet one out there.
Yeah.
Slick roadways. Be careful out there when you're going to work, all right? We'll make it a little more pleasurable for you. 52 degrees, and we go to the Pub and Grill Fan toll-free hotline, Craig, at 7:44. Remember, Pub and Grill at Waterford Estates. Like Waterford Estates on Facebook now for pub updates. You can like us as well at Facebook, because you can win Bulls tickets today.
Yes.
If you like us. How about that for Friday night's game? On that Pub and Grill Fan toll-free hotline, he's got a big event coming up at his establishment on Saturday. His name's Tim Peterson from RBI's Unlimited. Tim, how are you?
I'm doing great. How you doing, guys?
Not too bad. You're prepping for a big weekend, huh?
We are. RBI's Unlimited. We're celebrating our 5th season of operation, and we are having an open house on Saturday. This is our way of opening up our facility to the community, and also at the same time saying thank you to our loyal customers and community that has supported us so well.
Now, this time of year, people aren't necessarily thinking about baseball from the aspect that you can't play it outside, but you guys have a pretty darn good facility indoors that's open all season long.
We do. We have nearly 10,000 square feet of practice area, including 6 indoor batting cages. All of them are retractable, so we get teams that also rent space, pull back the nets, and use it for defense.
And, of course, this weekend, there's an open house going on. And it's open to all ages. Anyone can come in. And it's on Saturday.
Yeah.
And tell us what's going on Saturday, buddy.
Well, it's going to be going all day. Starting at 8 o'clock, we'll open the doors, have some Krispy Kreme donuts, and you'll be able to use the batting cages. From 8:30 to 10:30, we'll be offering a little taste of our softball and baseball camps and clinics, doing some skills and drills. Also, Cole Johnson, that's a former Notre Dame pitcher, and now with the Twins at AA, and Dawn Austin, who's one of the most renowned softball pitching coaches in the area, will both be on hand to assess. You can pitch before them, and they'll give you some helpful tips.
Yeah, bring the kids out. It's 8:30 to 10:30. Those two will be there. And Wes Smith will be there, too, from Adams, right?
Yeah, local guy from Adams, played at Holy Cross. He's our softball, baseball instructor extraordinaire, and he'll be running the skills and drills portion. At 11 o'clock, we're going to welcome a host of vendors from the area, including Mizuno and Under Armour, and various others. And we'll be offering some free food and drink from Main Street Pub. Craig, I know you like to visit that
never
establishment.
Never been there.
And so they'll be serving up a good lunch, and then all the vendors and RBIs will be offering some really great prizes. Should also mention the South Bend Silverhawks will be there.
Wow.
They're raffling off a outdoor suite for a game next season.
Now, Tim, did you were you managed to get the coup of signing up Swoop? Will Swoop be there?
We are crossing our fingers. I need to call the Silverhawks today. That was to be determined.
TBD.
So if not, are one of you guys willing to make an appearance? Maybe
Ragz featuring
do your impression of Swoop.
That would be interesting.
That would be. Now, one of the big misconceptions and people and players, especially young kids, Tim, is there really shouldn't be an off season if you want to play some baseball. So it's really important, as the World Series just ends, to stress to these youngsters that, hey, we're open. come get your swings in because you got to stay in shape year round now.
No, you're exactly right. Really, it's the travel season recently ended with the softball and baseball teams, school teams. The off season is your time to get better as an individual, and that's kind of our motto, the most important part of your game. So although the majority of our business is team business, from after school till 5:30, we'll see a host of kids coming in, taking advantage of the lessons we offer and the cage time, and that's your time to get better as an individual. And I should also mention this too, a great deal that we offer every Friday from now through March is our family fun night on Fridays.
Really?
So you can show up between the posted hours, which we post in our newsletter, and you can hit all you want for $5. We have Bruno's Pizza and soda for 50 cents. It's a great way to get some cheap hacks in.
No doubt about it. And you told me yesterday that also there for youth leagues that are in their off season right now, they can come over and get some swings in as well.
Correct. Yeah, we little leagues, school teams, travel teams, men's and co-eds, slow pitch teams. These are all customers of ours that come in and use our facility in the winter. You guys, Ragz, Craig's telling me you play some slow pitch.
I do.
So typically during the week we have the youth teams in our 2 early slots. We open it up in the late slots for the men's and co-ed slow pitch teams for $5 a head. So it's a great way to break in those new bats and keep your game sharp.
RBI's Unlimited, 6th Street in Mishawaka. I'm going to say a sentence to you. I'm sure you hear a lot of, Tim. I didn't even know you were there.
Well, we this is our 5th year, and we still hear that. And that's probably another reason we're having this. We have an extensive email list, and, again, people can join that by visiting our site, RBIsunlimited.com, and adding their email list in the lower left corner. But, yeah, we don't have this is not a high profit venture, so we have a small marketing budget.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it is word of mouth and gracious people like you that help spread the word for us. But we're really hoping for a great season. We were probably 95% at capacity last winter, and hoping for that again. But again, this is just a thank you to the community. If you haven't seen our facility, come on out and check it out. Got a lot of free, great items going on.
At what point do you throw Ragz out? Because now that he knows, at what point do you say, Ragz, you got to get out of here?
I got a stack of quarters that's going right on top of the one cage, and I am not leaving. 8 o'clock, doors open up. 8:30, the clinics start. Cole Johnson, Dawn Austin, Wes Smith from baseball, softball. It's going to be a great day. It's come one, come all, right, Tim? I mean, is it free of charge? What are we looking at here?
This is free of charge, and it is for athletes of all ages. We've had in all ages. We had we had a old guy in there. One of the first years, I think he was 70 and still playing in the senior softball league.
Nice.
Wow.
How many times? Hey, Tim, let me ask you this.
We got the Tiny Tots, too, on Friday nights and at the clinics. So all ages, all abilities. Come out and get some free hacks and maybe win some nice prizes, too.
RBI's Unlimited on 6th Street in Mishawaka. Tim, let me ask you this. How many times at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you see some guy come in with business casual saying, give me a bat. I just had a hell of a day. I need to get some stress relief. Because I'm telling you, batting cages are perfect stress relief.
No, you're right. But you bring up a very good point that we should mention is that we are on an appointment-only basis. Now, during the summer, that's really important. If we don't have business, we're not there. But, if call us at 574-993-7248, make an appointment, and that way you're assured a lane.
Nice.
And you're assured that we're going to be there. With the weather getting colder, we're going to be there a lot more. You can pretty much count on us being there from, 5 to 9 most evenings. But, again, appointment-only basis, the exception to that is our family fun nights on Fridays, and we'll let you know what the hours are via our newsletter. And again, you can go to our website and add your email address.
Well, Tim, we wish you the best of luck this
Definitely,
Saturday.
definitely,
Again, the doors open at 8 o'clock. Get on out there. Some breakfast in the morning and stay through the afternoon. And Main Street Pub will be there catering everything.
Yeah, I love
it's going to be a
that.
great time, Tim. We wish you the best of luck.
Hey, appreciate it, guys. Hope to see you and the fan crew over there sometime, and we'll set you
Oh, we're
up.
coming. You might regret that you said that, but
Yeah.
we come in force.
It's this coming Saturday, 6th Street in Mishawaka, RBI's Unlimited.
It's going to be a fun time.
Tim, be good.
Hey, thanks, guys.
No problem. It is Ragz and the Bartender. Tim Peterson there, Craig. I'm looking forward to it.
I know
like
you're
the
a
fact,
hacker.
Yeah, I am a hacker. I like the fact that you can reserve a lane and it's yours. And
That's it.
You don't have that. That 10-year-old kid behind you waiting to get in the cage.
I wish this old guy would hurry
The
up.
helmet doesn't even fit his head because he's overgrown.
I've been swinging since before you were born, kid.
You're waiting. You're waiting. Of course, the hottest batting cage scene of all time, Bull Durham.
Yes.
Little Susan Sarandon. She can swing the bat, let me tell you.
Yeah.
See, I
Ashton Robbins.
reference movies that matter.
What?
Airplane, Bull Durham, Lethal Weapon
You
2.
say Left Behind?
Left Behind, not so much.
Sorry.
Craig has a Kirk Cameron library at home.
Yeah, I do.
Like Father, Like Son.
Left Behind.
The entire Growing Pains series. And Left Behind.
Yes, that's it.
Is there anything else? I don't know if there is.
Kirk Cameron, I had to think about it. What else do I have?
You know who's in that Like Father, Like Son? Rudy. Rudy's in that.
Which one?
Rudy.
The
Sean
real-
Astin's his best friend in that
Oh, I thought
movie.
you were talking about the real Rudy.
No, Rudy.
Oh.
The fake Rudy.
He's more recognizable than the real Rudy.
Hey, we got some college football to get to next, ladies and gentlemen. Jim Brandstatter is going to join us on the phone. He calls every Michigan Wolverine football game, which
poor
means
guy.
he had to work last weekend.
Yeah, he did.
That Michigan State.
At what point do you start breaking into stories?
Back in my day,
Yes!
I remember. Yeah, I know.
Speaking of Bane.
Yeah. And then we got to break down a couple of these other games, which are on Thursday night. We were looking forward to. We'll get to the Notre Dame Navy. I'm sorry, Notre Dame Pitt. I would think at some point this week.
Yeah. And also, oh, by the way, there is some
There is a job.
some recruiting going on.
Oh.
And Notre
Oh, that's
Dame
right. Steve Wilfox's coming up.
picked up a big recruit over the weekend as
Steve
well.
Wilfont coming up, talk more college football. And you're saying there is a job Nick Saban might want.
Yes. According to his peoples.
His peeps.
Yes.
All right, well, we're heading towards 8 o'clock, your final hour before Dan Patrick at 9, Jim Rome at noon. Remember, basketball tonight, Pacers and Bulls right here on 95.7 The Fan. It is 7:56, Ragz and the Bartender on 95.7 The Fan and thefanmichiana.com.